Now it's time for, food for thought. So let me start. In India, today we are spending 8.8, around 8% of our GDP on logistic. But yet still the maximum or decision which we are taking, it's manual and that required a reactive approach. But now in today's session, we will be talking in 40 minutes around how AI has been implementing changing lives in automation, augmented operations, in last mile deliveries, warehouses, and factories. Let me have an introduction with our panelists, esteemed panelists. I'll start with Rajeev sir, Professor Rajeev Tripathi. He is an associate professor in the production and operations management area at IIM Bangalore, chairperson of the Supply Chain Management Center at IIM Bangalore, engaging with government and industry on supply chain excellence. He has done research widely published in Operation Supply Chain Economy, Cooperative Game Theory, and Responsible Business Operations. So we'll be having a lens from an academic and entrepreneurs and CTOs as well. So now let me introduce Smita Sahu. She is the co-founder and CTO of iThink. She has almost 10 years of experience in analyzing large, complex data sets by developing advanced analytical Gen AI and agentic AI implementation based on business initiative. She has worked closely with team members and associates in other regions in an agile framework to deliver collaborative solutions. She is highly motivated and experienced LLM architect, proficient in utilizing advanced AI technologies to address complex business challenges, have a strong understanding of the LLM architecture, and she has been able to design, develop, and implement LLM solutions that meet the business needs. We will be talking more about your LLM architecture once we start. Now, my next panelist is Mr. Ashootosh Chand. He is partner at Grant Thornton, a passionate business leader with deep technology expertise, an award-winning product strategist and innovator who drives compelling market differentiation, a mentor who inspires teams through empowering leadership and an agile programmatic delivery approach. He has successfully developed and executed multiple product strategy and go-to-market plans to gain market traction, accelerated revenue growth, and take market share from competition. He has clients included Wall Street Financials, US and Global Telecom, Fortune 500 firms, and others. His focused technology areas are IoT, automation, cloud, platform, big data, blockchain, AI, etc. Now, let me start with asking my first questions to my esteemed panelists. I believe another panelist, Gaurav, he will be joining us soon. So let's start with other speakers first. Just give me a minute. Perfect. So Smita, my questions to you. Vision in warehouse sounds obvious, isn't so? Now, counting, damaging, detection, pallet quality, loading compliance, but lighting and angle skills demos. What's one vision use case you have deployed that helped us in production and what made it robust? Can you just throw some light or your own experience, because I believe you have worked with different industry and helped them to get their warehousing automation done by your own expertise, right? Can you just throw some light, Smita, on that? Please.
You can take that.
Hello. I would like to highlight one use case what we delivered and we scaled it in production as well. So the pallet integrity and load stability validation at outbound dock doors. So why we chose this? Because always like vision is not about accuracy of the models. You have to define your physical constraints. So if for this pallet integrity and load stability, what we did, we anchored the solution at a fixed decision point, the dock door, where geometry, pallet dimensions, and motion patterns are predictable. And also, robustness came from the architectural choices, not just for the model accuracy. We constrain the problem space, standardize camera angles, normalize lighting with basic infrared illumination, and reduce outputs to binary go or no-go flags. Vision acted as a risk detection layer, not an enforcement layer here. So in my experience, warehouse vision succeeds when it is designed around physical constraints and workflow integration, and not just the model accuracy. So yeah, that's.
Okay. Thank you, Smita, for letting us know about how the vision AI you have used in your warehousing solution for your clients and customer. Now getting back to Mr. Ashootosh, I want you to give us some area of expertise of yours which is related to ROI in real warehousing. So the question for you, across industry, what are the top 2 warehouse AI bets that consistently show ROI more than 12 months, which is slotting, labor planning, demand forecasting, exception triangle, dock scheduling? What is, it is up to you.
So we have worked on multiple scenarios, and the top 2, I would say, is demand forecasting is number 1. And in demand forecasting, what happens is either you store more, where you have a working capital problem, or if you have stored less, then you have an experience problem where you are not able to service your customers. And with AI coming in, we are able to now really get to a stage where you can do better demand planning and demand forecasting. So you don't have to rush for deliveries because some product is short, or you don't have overcapacity of things, or some of them might expire over a period of time. And we see that as a big benefit that is coming in. The second is labor management. Now that itself gives you, in fact, output in weeks, not even months. And if you have the right kind of mix, then you can say that labor cost per unit SKU delivered. Based on that, you can also plan out a labor, it could be multiple shifts, or you can have overtime, and all of those things can be properly planned. And that I see are the 2 major use cases that we have implemented globally across customers. The third very close comes is slotting, but since she asked only 2, I will just limit it to that.
Please continue,
No,
because
no,
I
this is
believe there will be your expertise or your information knowledge will be really helpful.
We can talk about it offline as well.
Okay, no worries. That's completely all right. So now, again, sir, I'll come back to you, Ashootosh sir, with the follow-up questions, because I believe I have a lot to learn from my panelists, and one of the strong experiences will be coming from
sitting with founders, so I don't think I can teach them anything.
No. Definitely learning comes from anywhere, and especially from veteran like you. So follow-up questions to you, sir. What's the most common reasons, according to you, pilots which we are doing die after 8 months? This is a statistic which shows around 8 months, whatever the pilots we are doing, it died after that. So any thought on that?
There are many reasons. The first thing is people think that when we do AI and automation, it's a silver bullet, which it is not. And they purposefully, or in many cases, the first reason it dies is company politics. Okay. The second reason is that you tend to implement technology to do the same things with technology. You don't redesign the process. You need to really redesign the process. The third thing is you don't have proper data availability and accessibility based on which you can do those process redesigns and then they deliver. Third and most important, the people think, I just touched on politics, but we call it change management incentivization. People worry about what would be my role. Would I lose my job? What would happen tomorrow? So all of those things are things that lead to failure. In some cases it is intentional, in most cases it is overhype of the technology, and then you tend to do it in the wrong way.
Okay, can we say this thing like leadership or the humans which are there in the organizations are becoming the bottleneck to implement this kind of technology, or this is just my...
Humans are always the bottleneck. You run a company, so you know.
Thank you.
It's not, the technology is never the bottleneck.
Okay, perfect. So now moving ahead to Mr. Rajeev Tripathi, Professor Rajeev Tripathi. So my questions to you, sir, from an operation and system perspective, do you think technology-led improvements in supply chain, which has often failed to deliver the expected outcome? Because we are always talking about the success part of implementing this technology. I want you to throw some light where we are not able to get the expected output which was supposed to get delivered through this. Can you just throw some light, sir?
Well, I picked the idea from the discussion which was happening. You yourself said that my mic is working, I think.
Yeah, it is working.
Yeah, so this one.
Double mic.
Yeah.
Double engine sarkar chal raha hai, sir.
एक ही काफी है. Yeah, so like you said that, most pilots fail within 8 months, right? So, and then you also talked about the human angle. So let me bring the game theoretic perspective where I mostly spend most of my time researching that. And because you are setting the context for supply chain. So imagine there are multiple stakeholders, they have their own self-interest, their own objectives, and then we ask them to sit together and come to a conclusion, come to a conversion. So it's possible. But if they are not talking to each other, they are thinking on their own, then what do you expect? Okay, so that is a fundamental problem we observe in supply chain. Let us say I am a buyer, she is supplier, he is another buyer. Now we both, so I go to my supplier and say that, look, I want to do some technological change, or I want to implement some technology which is like which will be useful for you. It will be useful for me also. Then supplier will say, oh, fine, you are not the only buyer. I am dealing with 10 more or 20 more buyers like you. Why should I listen to you? I'll say, okay, fine. Maybe I am more concerned, or I want you to do this, and I'm willing to help you. So then, if I train my supplier, and if I invest in capability building program for them, what happens is, then there are other buyers who can free ride on that, right? So I am investing in all kinds of technological transformation in my supply chain. I'm working with tier 1, tier 2, tier 3. Let us say I'm more concerned, okay, or maybe I'm the supply chain leader. But I can see that there are other buyers, my competitors, who can always take benefit of that. Okay, so the basic human psychology of taking free riding on others, self-interest, that dynamic should be managed properly if you want to see the useful change across the supply chain.
I'll tell you one thing.
Yes, please.
FedEx, long back, they are the leaders in the supply chain, and they transport more goods than anybody else. At some point, they use data to find out that in US, for example, there is always a right turn and left turn. It's opposite to what India is. They created a system that the truck can only take right turns, no left turns. Now they realize that they're saving 8% in fuel cost, 3% in time. Just that, look at what it translates into. Now to a question that I did that benefit, I have a trucks which are from third parties, but to do that you need the data. Now I have an advantage. It took competition 3 to 4 years to find out, but by then I had that data now, and I'm optimizing on that. Now those are the advantages you have for trying it out, and there's a disadvantage of not trying out new things. The disruptor is always going to survive.
Very, very valid and important point which you just mentioned about the data visibility and data management. We will be coming to that point where how the data and dashboard is able to work in the factories. We'll be talking more on that point, Ashootosh sir. Now we have our panelist, Mr. Gaurav Mathur. Welcoming him on the stage. Thank you, Gaurav, for coming today. I wanted to start with Gaurav only. So that is the reason initially I just fumbled, because my first question was for Gaurav, because I believe we all have ordered from Licious, right? Isn't so? Okay. So now, Gaurav, I don't think so you need
so he has come with a discount coupon for everybody, I believe.
Gaurav, I don't believe you need an introduction, but then too, it will be my pleasure to introduce you among our panelists. So Gaurav has been a strong executive and strategic technology leadership profile in AI, digital transformation and operations. He is currently serving as Chief Technology Officer, CTO of Licious, where he is driving AI-led innovation in retail and supply chain tech. He is an IIT Delhi alumnus with 20 years of experience in engineering and leadership experience, leads the end-to-end technology. He is driving the transformation of Licious into an AI-native, real-time commerce organization modernizing platform, digitizing the supply chain, and embedding the ML-driven intelligence across every customer and operational touchpoint. So we will be talking more about Licious. I'm very excited to know about how the last mile and overall warehousing operations has been taken care at Licious. So now starting with my first question to Gaurav, which was, Gaurav, in cold chain, current the KPI isn't just speed, I believe it's time at temperature plus waste. Can you walk us through one example where AI improved a freshness metric, which is forecasting, FEFO, dispatch batching, or shrink? What data matter most according to you in your organization or your own experience? Please share us.
Thank you for such a warm welcome and good to be part of the panel. As Zaiba mentioned that I'm part of Licious. Licious is very core to the center of the plate for all the consumers where the freshness definitely matters a lot. So since the question is specifically on cold chain and how AI is doing disruption there, one of the use case, like there are many, but one of the use case I'll you guys to walk through is Licious is not just online platform but also offline platform, right? So there are a lot of compliances, there are a lot of breakages which happens in the cold chain which can affect the freshness. When I talk about the freshness, why it is unique to Licious is because the industry understands frozen very well, which is -18, but when it comes to 0 to 4 degree temperature, which is a fresh meat, there are very few players who can maintain that kind of a compliance, right? So let's talk about one use case where, let's say, camera analytics, right? The imaginary, the images or the video streaming which we get from our offline stores help us in ensuring there is a freshness check. So imagine when a customer enters a Licious store thinking that yes, there is a guarantee by Licious on the freshness, and he sees or the customer sees that there is a fish bed on which the fishes is lying and there is no proper icing on the fish, right? The ice caking on the fish, right? To maintain the freshness. Or let's say there is a zone compliance which is there for different kind of meat SKUs, right? And that compliance is not maintained, will definitely drop the pH level of the meat. Also the freshness goes down. So when you eat that meat, right, like when the customer will eat that meat, definitely you will not get the freshness. It might be chewy, it might not have the right softness, tenderness, juiciness, whatever it is, right? So the video streaming or the image analysis plays a very critical role where at random snapshot, we capture the images and the video streaming and then determine anomalies through that. So what I mean by anomaly is that, let's say there is no compliance on the zone restriction. So there is the contamination of the different SKUs cannot happen. Meat and seafood cannot be with, let's say, a red meat kind of thing. Somebody cannot put that by mistake also. It can lead to contamination of the meat, right? Similarly, if what I mentioned, that the fishes are there, but the icing or is not done properly, it will generate an anomaly on which a person can act. So basically it boils down to you can improve or optimize something which you can measure, and measuring in real time through AI and image analysis has become possible. Also any kind of anomaly which we figured out in the supply chain, now with leveraging AI, it becomes very easy to explain that why a certain course of action was taken by the algorithm, right? Whether it is rerouting, whether it is auto batching, which we'll discuss later. But with AI advancement, the explainability of any action or decision taken by the software can be done, right? That depending on certain factor, this decision was taken. So the figuring out anomalies have become very easy so that we can eliminate bad decisions from the supply chain. Yeah.
Perfect. Thank you, Gaurav. Before you joined, we were having a discussion about the human resistance on taking the technology adoption. Have you faced this, yes or simple 1 or 2 line, if you can share your experience, where you face any human resistance or people are at Licious very much okay to adopt technology and go ahead?
So I think any kind of disruption or the paradigm shift which happens, right? It has happened in the past also with AI also it's there. There's always a resistance. As a human race, we are always resistance to a paradigm shift, right? Like it's not like everybody will embrace on the day one, right? And there are definitely challenges. There's a lot of hype around AI also, which was created in the initial, like 1 or 2 years back, I'm talking about, where it is still a progressing technology, right? So I think what we need to ensure is when we adopt and are part of this kind of paradigm shift, right? Like we make people understand that how it is a augmentation process. It is not elimination of humans in the loop. It is elimination of bad decisions, right? Which are taken in the, let's say, in the whole process, in the supply chain leg, or decision about, let's say, last mile SLAs, or decisions about storage or anything. So, or whether it is developers resisting AI to code, right? Because, or depend too much on the AI also is bad, right? So I think there is always augmentation, guardrail, governance will be required. That's why you see a lot of focus is going right now into governance side of the things.
Very, very true. So I believe all of the decision in your
One thing I want to add
yes,
there,
please.
okay, back in the day, almost 30 years back, so I'm that history, I'm an ancient piece here on the board. So we did a research on increasing productivity, and we talk about human resistance, right? So there was a factory floor where they wanted to see how they can increase productivity. So one test was that, okay, let's increase the brightness of the room by a small percentage. Productivity went up a little bit. Then,
very interesting.
hear me out. Then after a week, we reduced the brightness of the room again to below the normal level that it used to be. Productivity went up again. And then after 10, 15 days, we brought it down to the normal level. Productivity went up even further. The point we came to that conclusion is, if people feel that they are being observed, they behave differently versus when they are not being observed. So this is something interesting I wanted to leave the room with, because very few people would know this. Nothing changed. Light ko humne up down kar diya khali.
Very interesting human psychology about in AI, implementing
We have done
AI
a lot of change management as part of my consulting assignments. So and this is something that doesn't leave me ever. Humne kya kiya yaar? And the customer is paying big dollars for it. That's a good thing about it.
That's
Perfect.
consulting.
So now moving ahead to the factories, like we spoke about the implementation of AI in warehousing. Now getting into the factories, my question to Ashootosh sir is, most factories have dashboard, which we spoke about, data dashboard. The leap in is decision automation. Stop this line, bring forward. It's been maintenance, switch suppliers, or increasing the brightness of the room. What's a real example where AI moved from an insight to action, and what governance made that fast? So you shared an example where the brightness of the room has been up or down, and the productivity of the factories has increased. That was, I believe, a human decision, not from the dashboard or from the data perspective, and not the implementation of AI happened in that. So if you can share some example related to AI, that will be helpful.
Yeah, so most of the examples that I know of have been German. Either Siemens doing predictive maintenance using AI very recently, or Bosch managing their production line. But I will talk about something else, a semiconductor company called Intel. Intel is going through some challenges, that's a separate part of it. But what they have done is, given the geopolitics, they brought in various parameters, geopolitics, the cost of products, changing in supplier. They brought AI to decide, how do I change my suppliers? And AI worked towards, depending on certain thresholds, certain risk profiles and everything, AI started making the decision. Of course, what happened was that it can only select between the vendors that already have a contract with, number one. Number two, in terms of governance, you cannot make a change below or above a certain percentage. You have to do it over a certain threshold. And then you don't have to bring the human in the loop, but the human is notified after the decision is being taken, so that they can audit it and make changes or control it if required. Now what happened with that is, it was much more seamless, but it was not being reactive, but it was being productive for the company. And the humans were later being brought in about a week later, or maybe in a 3 days, to see how things are changing with their ability to override. So the thing is, you don't give intent to the AI. You can give context and give autonomous guardrails, so that they can perform within that guardrails, with the intent still being controlled by the human. I want to make sure that my supply chain is not impacted. And Intel has been fairly good at that, because the supply chain is global. For example, they get the sand from China. Nobody knows that, because 90% of the sand that goes into semiconductor comes from China. Now when China controls that, how do you change it? Because they have to route through multiple suppliers with the geopolitics coming in. The cost changes. Then because the sand sources changed, how do you bring in alternate suppliers who can work with those sand to make the silicon. So all of those things were brought into the loop to make sure that the production line, and they manufacture millions of chips every month. So that's a small example of how it's not about dashboards, but about autonomous decision making that has made the day for the company.
So the solution was implemented given by AI, Intel you're talking about?
Intel has implemented it for themselves.
Okay, and the company, the semiconductor company which you spoke, it is Indian based or?
Intel is in every PC.
No, I'm not talking about the service provider Intel. I'm talking the company which you mentioned about, starting where.
I don't know who the service provider is. Okay. I know the Intel case study.
Okay, got it. It was just my understanding and knowledge. Now moving ahead to Mr. Tripathi. Sir, I want to understand how do AI and robotics drive operational excellence in manufacturing? You might have a case studies because you have been publishing case studies in IIM, Bangalore and your further studies. If you can just throw some light and how open or reluctant an Indian MSME, we are talking about Intel and big organizations like Licious where they have been able to implement the technology very upfrontly. Now if we talk about the MSME, can you just let us know what their thought on it?
Yep. So one important point is this combination of AI and robotics. Where does it help? One big thing I would like to highlight here is it really improves your quality of data. You can have end-to-end robots collecting data, and after somewhere in your process flow, AI model is embedded. It is almost like untouched by human, right? So the quality of insights that is derived by AI models, the accuracy is very high. Okay, so that is one benefit. And of course, in operations, we are dealing with physical setup. Okay, and so there it makes a lot of sense. In terms of MSMEs adoption, there is a mixed. My observation is that it's mixed. I will put it into two categories. How open MSMEs are in adopting AI and robotics based solutions, they are not. Awareness is very high, but adoption is still not that great. And we can understand several reasons behind this. And again, it also dependent on the sector. For example, in automobile, robotics is actually very old for them. Okay, you go to any manufacturing setup, you see robots are doing a lot of things. Now for them, implementing AI solution was much easier. Okay, with the help of their buyers, some capability building programs, or because of their own awareness, they outsource some of their activities to, like we are seeing some exhibitors are there in the downstairs. So they are doing it very well. Certain sectors who are like, not that tech savvy, they are still relying on old methods. For them, it looks like it's an alien concept, and it's like they are very, not very forthcoming, very welcoming about adopting AI-based solutions.
So, is there any success rate you have seen in terms of percentage of?
That's difficult to identify. But I can say that we work, like at IIM Bangalore, we are one of the implementation partners of RAMP program, Raising and Accelerating MSME Performance. It's Ministry of MSME Government of India's program. As part of that, we have to actually work with all MSMEs in the state of Karnataka. So all 31 districts, my colleague is here, so we are doing it. So we are going to every district, and then we are spending with MSMEs in those districts, facilitated by government. We are trying to understand what kind of challenges they are facing. Very soon we'll be publishing a report out of it. But at the, current stage is, yes, of course, going back to the same idea, resistance to change. And for MSMEs, because most of the MSMEs run on very thin margins, so you can understand the challenge.
I believe this is a great initiative to bring MSME on AI platform with the support of people like you and the government of
course, there
Karnataka.
are many people like me who are doing this work. It's actually happening at the
people
national
like
level.
you, I believe I am Bangalore along with your guidance, and main point is government of Karnataka is helping this changes to bring to the MSME. That is commendable.
It's Government of India's initiative. Modi government announced this in 2022 with the help of World Bank.
Very
now,
nice.
state government, it's their responsibility to implement in their states. So, state governments have created a nodal agency. So, in Karnataka, it is KCTU, and then there is a provision of implementation partners. So, there are 4 more implementation partners like us. So, it is our duty to design end to end the content, what kind of training we will provide,
Very
everything. So, they have given us free hand.
Very
that way.
interesting. We'll be
Yeah.
looking forward to check your
Of course.
public report.
Okay.
Now moving ahead to Smita. Smita, can you just let us know in your experience where you have implemented solutions to certain factories? I believe I have gone through your client list. Where do you think Gen AI genuinely help factories today? Genuinely, which is like if it is cutting down the maintenance co-pilots, SOP retrieval, troubleshooting, I'm just giving you some option, you can select any of that. Quality documentation, training new technicians, what is one thing?
Yeah, I think in factories, GenAI genuinely helps in maintenance and troubleshooting, specifically as a co-pilot along with technician. Like in the large factories, when machine goes down, the biggest problem is not the failure itself, but the technician takes time to research on the manuals, SOPs, and past fixes. But using the GenAI, we can compress the time. So, for example, like nowadays, almost all the factories, they are implementing their own chatbots and agentic AI solutions where like they have mobile applications or their own field, like some software they have where they can ask the question, for example, like motor overheating after 20 minutes on line 3. In the past, we have to go manually or we have to reach out to some expert who can guide the technician how to solve that problem. But now the technician can ask in the application and he can get the information about the past failures and also the steps for that particular issue, how he can solve it. So by using the generative AI and agentic AI solutions, we are reducing the time to resolve the issues, and it acts as a co-pilot for the technician, not like entirely decision maker, but I will say like it's kind of a augmentation to the technician knowledge. And also, like I did some research how it helps in industries. So according to some statistics, AI assisted maintenance reduces unplanned downtime by 20 to 50%, and also it cuts maintenance costs by 10 to 30%, and improves mean time to repair KPI by 30 to 40%. So by implementing GenAI and agentic AI solutions, it actually helps factories like in their safety, in their resolving the issues, and also finding the SOPs and troubleshooting the issues. Yeah.
Thank you, Smita. Continuing with you only, how Gen AI you have been used in the last mile deliveries. Is there any use case which you can share it with us?
Sure. Like in the last mile deliveries, I will say like we use like recently we have built generative AI application where like in the real time we can see like how the movement is happening of different products and what is the issue. We can trace it actually. We can trace and if something like if it is stocks or like there is some issue with the in the pod deliveries or like there is some time issues, then we can check that and we can satisfy the customer saying all the data, and if any issues are there, then we can like clarify that, and if any claims users are asking, then we can check in the back end in real time rather than like taking some 2 days or 3 days. In the real time only we can check our backend data and provide them the information about that order, where the CP is happening or whether order is stuck. Yeah.
Okay.
Just
Thank
one
you.
thing, I'd love to hear from Gaurav because They do highly
I will
perishable
be coming.
products.
I will be coming. I have a special question for Gaurav on the last mile deliveries. I will be coming to that point. So going ahead with Mr. Tripathi, sir, you have mentioned about the game theory in your expertise. So I want you to give us some experience or some knowledge on game theory and AI, as it seems to be interrelated, isn't it? So how does this relationship, according to you, help researchers in the advanced field of AI?
Again, I'll pick it the idea from Gaurav. He talked about explainability of AI. Okay, so what exactly is this? For example, Intel wanted to solve this problem that how to pick the supplier. So let us say AI model tells that you have to pick this supplier. Okay, then we'll go one step ahead and we'll ask the question why. Okay, why is AI model predicting this the way it is predicting? And that is like opening the black box. Currently it is black box. We are taking the whatever suggestion is coming from AI model, we are taking it as it is, but then we go one step ahead and we ask this question like, okay, why it is, so we want, that's called explainability. Okay, game theory is helping us there. Okay, so there is a concept of Shapley value in cooperative game theory. Those who do theoretical research in AI, in the field of AI, they know it, and so that is one good application of game theory in AI. The second, I would say, is making AI models more interactive, right? For example, we talk about this collaborative robots or cobots. So collaborative robot is something like, okay, it is actually interacting with us. Okay, it is not just something like, okay, the pattern is there, I'm reading the pattern and giving the solution. It is actually interacting with human in real time. So to make AI models more interactive, there also game theory is helping big time. So these are two big areas where currently I think game theory is helping in terms of research.
Are you also publishing some report around it?
My PhD students will be doing this.
Okay, great. Perfect. So now, I believe, sir, you want to add anything last mile, or can I move ahead to...
When the guru of last mile is here, I'd rather listen from him.
Okay, perfect. And somebody told me yesterday, my Bangalore colleague, Bangalore stand second in world traffic, I believe. That is true?
Something to be proud of, I guess.
So, coming back to Gaurav, and I believe this will be my last question to the panelists, detailed question, then we'll be coming to a small fireside type of questions to you. In the last mile, Gaurav, we all know customer just don't want fast, they want a reliability. Tell us about a use case where AI improve ETA accuracy or reduce failed deliveries. What was the model input, which is traffic, rider behavior, locality risk, or order composition?
You have answered it as well, looks like. But yeah, last mile is where the meat is, right? Like if you see all the quick commerce which is happening, Licious actually started with scheduled deliveries, right? Because it believes like people schedule for meat, raw meat, they do protein planning well ahead in advance. It started 10 years back like that. Then we moved into 90 minutes. Then we moved into 60 minutes, 30 minutes. Now we are going beyond that because of the category, the kind of category. Because customer perception is also changing. They don't want to plan too much. The cook is there in the house. They want to cook chicken right now, want to order right before the cook comes 5 minutes before, and they expect it to be delivered. So expectations are changing. Second, some of the new categories which we have launched with respect to ready to cook, a range of products. So let's say momos of the world, or let's say dishes like butter garlic prawns and all that, which is already cooked, fresh dishes, which you can just heat in 2 minutes and eat. So these kind of newer categories doesn't require too much of a ahead planning. So that's where we are now entering into a paradigm where it will be almost like a quick commerce, where a dynamic promise kind of an engine we are building, right? That dynamic promise is not a static promise, ki 30 minutes, 60 minutes, that kind of a promise, but it depends when the order is, when somebody lands on the app and wants to order something, at that time the promise is shown. And that promise is not going to be static, it's going to be dynamic in nature, like 13 minutes, 5 minutes, 7 minutes, 12 minutes, depending on who is ordering from where, right? So that requires a lot of algorithmic things to be built with respect to real-time ETAs, real-time traffic understanding, rider availability, capacity understanding within the hubs. So let's say what is my packer available right now versus what is the next shift starting capacity change, what is picking packer capacity, what is my D turnaround, which Ds are there in the hub, which Ds are delivering and coming back to hub, which Ds will be part of the next roster and should be tagged for the batching for this order. So there's a lot of complexity. If the rain is happening, factor that in, right? So there's a lot of complexity which happens, which determines that how you batch the orders and then how do you deliver. So when the promise is shown, when the person lands on the app, should stays as it is, right? That should not change. So that's where AI comes into the picture with understanding these real-time signals. Also, as I mentioned earlier, right, whenever we take that decisions, see, AI is not perfect. It is also evolving. In supply chain, there is a concept of sin bin. Sin bin is like sin has happened. You don't know why. So let's say something was supposed to go to a particular node in the supply chain, but misroute has happened. Now there is tech stack to avoid misroute. Let people will say put to barcode, that you put something into a bin and then punch a barcode saying that I have put this there, just to confirm. But what if somebody throws it and goes off the way? This happens. When I was in Flipkart also, this was one of the biggest things, that in the physical world, there's a lot of deviation which happens, which doesn't happen in the software world. So how does AI understand those real-time signals? And if it takes the decision and then we have to go and see the RCA, that okay, my CPD blew up in a particular time of the day and why it is, then how do I explain that? Why those decisions were taken? AI helps there.
Perfect. Thank you. I believe we are time. Just give me 5 minutes, 2-3 minutes, if it is okay. I want to complete it, what I have prepared. So, this question is to anyone, if you want to answer. This is fast crossfire. It doesn't have to be long. One AI use case that is overhyped in operations, according to you?
100% automation.
Oh.
Everybody feels that AI can do the job 100% of the time.
Okay, interesting. Anybody? Or we can go ahead.
Conversational AIs.
Sorry?
Conversational AIs, ChatGPT,
Okay.
don't rely on
Agentic AI
that
solutions.
for operational decision.
Oh, okay, perfect. So now another question. One use case that is, according to you, underrated.
Exception triage. So basically we don't focus on that few things that can give me the bigger bang, but we try to do everything with AI. So we want to really focus on that, what we call as in the industry parlance as exception triage. Focus on that 5 to 10% of the things that will give you 25-30% of the benefit.
Anybody else?
In operations, again, I will say human AI collaboration. It's underrated, highly underrated.
Perfect. One last question. I believe, Gaurav, we need your answer to this. Any one metric which you will be monitoring daily or weekly, like without that doesn't go, your day doesn't end?
Yeah, so since we were discussing about last mile, one of the metric could be the D utilization and SLA compliance. Right? These two matrices are very important because this directly impacts the cost and directly impacts the profitability of a company. So CPD, which is cost per delivery, orders per D, which is orders per hour processed by the Ds, and the SLA compliance, which is perfect order. These three matrices are very close and we should track it.
One thing in supply chain we call hours saved. So if you get the job, how can I deliver in five less minutes? For you, every minute now, you have reached 30 minutes, so every minute now counts.
Yeah. Less than 30 minutes.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. It was great talking to you all. I believe the audience had good enough to take from my panelists. And one thing which I want you guys to think about, one thing which you want to automate or take from this decision or discussion on Monday, what would that be? I believe then the entire discussion of ours would be useful and fruitful to all of us. Thank you so much. I have learned a lot from you so much, guys. Thank you.
Engaging and insightful session. Now I request our speakers to join us for a group picture.